Ciao, and welcome back to my identity series on my channel Be Kind Fox. I am talking about the identity of people with different cultural backgrounds, mainly in regard of children that have parents coming from different backgrounds and that maybe grow up in a third country. Why I do this is because I had different cultural backgrounds, and there was nobody being aware of the situations that might arise when you have different origins. So I had to work on it on my own, and it was sometimes difficult. So I thought, why not share my thoughts? And this is what I do in this series. I just share my thoughts and experiences also of other people and try to be of help for parents who have children with different cultural backgrounds, so that maybe they have it a bit easier. It's nothing dramatic, but why wouldn't you support your child if you could do so?
Today's episode is about the pros and cons that derive from having different backgrounds or origins. And being a positive person, I like to start first with the pros.
The first positive aspect of having different cultures in the background is that normally people are more empathetic because they grow up in different situations. They see totally different situations and they have to try to adjust and to adapt to it. So they are used to better understand what facial expressions mean, what a tone in a voice could mean, because they have to understand it even if at the beginning it was not part of their way to be. So this is why they are more open and they have a better understanding for other people, which is a very positive aspect, right? The second positive aspect is, of course, the language aspect. So normally when you grow up in a different country, you have the language or the languages of your parents that you learned by growing up, and on top the language of the country where you are growing up. One point is, of course, that the more the brain is asked to work and to develop new capacities, the more it is trained and the quicker it gets. It's just like a muscle. And that means that not only they do normally speak more than one language, but 2 or 3 of them, but it also means that they are not as afraid as normal people to use new languages, to somehow communicate with hands and feet. And you go to another country and you don't know the language, but you pick up some words and they sound similar to one language that you know, and so you are not as afraid as other people to talk, to communicate, and to make communication work. And it's good for your brain. The third aspect is your cultural world, your inner culture, let's say, gets enriched by all those cultures that have influenced you. And this starts with the cuisine, this starts with architecture, this starts with art, music, whatever, and it goes over languages, of course, over religions, over the experiences of different political structures and systems, and of course of how to dress. So also fashion is a little bit different or really different in different countries. One aspect that is very interesting for me is that people who grow up in different countries or have different origins, they bond more with people instead of location or country, because they normally don't have this strong natural bonding to their village, to the region, to the country where all their ancestors lived in, and when they were born and they grew up and they still are. But you put some small roots in one country, and you have small roots to another country, and you have small roots to maybe a third country, but you have not bonded to one country exclusively normally. And this means that you are more bonding to people. And this leads then to the next positive aspect, that the relationships of people with different cultures to other people normally have a different quality. They are deeper, but it is, the situation, you didn't see someone for 2-3 years, and then you meet this person again, and it's like it had been yesterday. And this is the quality of relationship that many of those people have that are expats or third country kids, or however you want to call them. Because it's not a relationship which grows with this daily contact, but it lasts over the weeks, months, and years, and then you get back and it's like it was yesterday. Children of expats normally are much more mature than normal children, of course, because they have been exposed to much more situations that are out of the normal. Also, they normally have much more contact to adults than children of the same age that are located in the same area since birth. So this also makes their brain develop quicker, let's say, than the brains of normal children. And one of the most beautiful aspects is that normally children who have lived with or in different cultures are less discriminating. So racism normally is not a common trait to expats, because they have lived with different cultures and different ethnical origins and religious people or religions, and so having all those different inputs in your life and to grow up with it, it gets a bit difficult to become a racist or to be discriminating in any case. It doesn't mean that they are not, but statistics show that it's much less. So let's come to the negative aspects. The very first negative aspect is exactly the reason why I'm doing these videos, is that your identity is not developing naturally. It is not unquestioned, but it is exposed to so many different influences. And nobody normally tells you what is influencing me, what is not, what can I take as part of me now and what not, and how am I supposed to feel, what I am supposed to be, who am I supposed to be. So all those questions normally for people who are born and grow up in the same culture are not questions. But for expats and their children, these are questions that have to be answered. They can be answered quickly. It's not a big deal, but you have to be aware of it. And what unfortunately happens in most cases by being expats is that you don't have all your relatives and extended family around you, because normally it's one family going to another country for work or for whatever reasons, and the rest of the family, the relatives, are left in the original country. So this is of course a pity, but you can deal with it. You can build up an optional family in the new country, and of course, thankfully, we do have those digital media nowadays, so it is easier to stay in touch with the relatives by FaceTime, by Zoom, by whatever media we have and platforms to communicate with each other over, long distances. I don't know if you heard about the imposter syndrome, which is often enough mentioned in context of business, of work.
And this imposter syndrome also happens in relation to a country or culture. If a child is born in a different country, it grows up with the culture of the original country of one of the parents, for instance, but it might feel this imposter syndrome feeling as part of this original culture. And at the same time, feeling an imposter if he or she feels as part of the new country, because it's by DNA or by birth, it is not part of this community, but by life, it's not part of the former culture. So helping the children to become aware of that and tell them it's wrong to feel this imposter syndrome, because they have every right to feel as part of one culture and the other, because you can be part of 2, 3, 4 cultures, and that is okay.
And specifically with the new country, it takes time to become part of the local community. That's normal. And I discussed this in a former video. You get there, and then you have to make an effort to become part of it. And there are cultures which are more open and welcoming, and there are cultures which are not that open and welcoming, also depending on your origin, because there are origins which are higher appreciated in some countries than other. So all of that you have to become aware, and you have to make the effort and try to become part of this local community. Of course, you will be happy to find people of your origin in that new country, or to join expat groups. Of course, but there is no rule saying you can't do both of them. So enjoy talking to people of your former origin or of your origin and being together with them and enjoying to speak in your native language, but also do the step and try to be integrated or to integrate yourself in a new country. Having mixed cultures means that people, and mainly children, feel insecure because they don't have this natural identity, and they feel that there are maybe people who are not so friendly towards them, or they feel foreign, they feel strange, they feel not being part of a local community, and what they need is the help of the parents in telling them that it's natural and that they, as a family, have to make the effort of becoming part of this family. So becoming aware of this insecureness and communicating about that. Communicating is the most important point of all. So all the things that I have said up to now can be solved mainly by open communication, becoming aware and then talking. talking to the children and letting them know this is okay, this is normal, you are not strange, you are not weird. It's completely normal. You are okay. In the same context, as mentioned before, there are origins, ethnicities that in some other countries could be higher or lower appreciated, let's say. And also this is something that, if this is the case, talk to your children. So when I went to Germany, Italians were not well seen in Germany. And partly they're still not, but it has become very much better by now. But at that time, Italians were just negatively seen. And if anybody would have told me, it would have helped me much more, because in that situation, I felt this awkward, weird reactions to me not talking in German, not being able to talk in German. I felt it as related personally to me as individual. So as a child or young adult, I was feeling that they didn't like me, which might have been the case in some cases, of course. It's normal that there are people that like you and people that don't like you. But if the reason for not being well accepted is also your origin, and you know that and you become aware of that, it's not hurting that much. It's still a problem, but it's not hurting that much. It's not you that is the problem, but it is your origin. And then you can start deal with it and you can start working with it. One thing that I also mentioned already, which is a minor point, but it is a point in most of those expats' family. Holidays. Where do you go on holidays? And if for a normal family with completely local roots, every holiday is just planning about where do we go, be it in the country, being outside the country, be it on the other side of the world, but it is about getting to see new landscapes and getting to see new cultures. For expats families, first point is back home. If your parents have two different origins, it's back home 1 and back home 2. So it eats up your holidays. And I told already in one of my former videos, for me it was always the question, okay, we have that amount of holidays and I want my daughter to go back to our village, go back to Italy to learn about our culture, to see their relatives, to see the friends. But on top, I wanted her also to get to know the world. But you have a limited amount of holidays, right? So it's a bit tricky, but it can be dealt with.
One point that most expats realize at a certain point is whenever they go back to their original country or countries, it is a sort of stress to plan in advance.
You plan ahead whom to visit, the closer family, relatives, friends, and so on. It is quite impossible to meet everybody in let's say you are there for a week. It's quite impossible to meet everybody. So you have to really plan, okay, I want to go there and I want to see that person and I have to visit this uncle and to see that aunt. And on top you want to relax and maybe go to the beach or go to the city or whatever. So you need some free time also. And what regularly will happen is that you meet one of your friends or relatives that you hadn't planned to see, and they meet you and they say, Why didn't you say anything? And you feel guilty. It's normal. And they always suppose that you have to be the one who is coming to see them and to call them and tell them, listen, I'm coming home, can we meet? In very, very seldom cases, they will call you and say, I want to come and visit you in your new country. And the point is, you don't have to feel guilty. Don't feel guilty. And if you talk about it to them, if you know them well enough, then you can explain, listen, I only have 1 week and I have to see this person, and I will try to make an appointment with you the next time, but I can't cover everybody. It's too much, and I need also some time. But why don't you visit me? And somehow it's also a presumption then that whoever lives in another country has more money. This is something I did not understand yet. It's always somehow supposed that you have more country and you can pay for the flight, and you can, and you have holidays without end. No, you have holidays like every other people, depending on the country you're in, but normally you have the 2 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it is per year. And your salary is not higher just because you live in another country. But, they live in their world and they don't know about the other world. And the other countries are somehow, they feel like adventure, like luxury, like positive, like great. And normally people are not aware of the reality of being an expat. So they don't know that you have maybe the same salary as before or even less, because maybe your certificates are not accepted, that you don't have that much time, that a flight to your original country might cost a lot. And if you come with the whole family with 3, 4, 5 people, it's really a high amount of money. So all those things they don't think about because it's not part of their reality. So be patient. Strangely, when you go and live in another country, for the people in your original surrounding, you become a representative of your new country. As I mentioned it in a few videos before, whenever I go to Italy, many people say, oh, there comes the German or Swiss. Why? What? And they, even if you speak the language perfectly and there is no accent and you speak the dialect, but still you are a representative of your new country with all the cliches. So if you go and live in India, they will presume that you have become an Indian at 100% and ask you weird questions. And sometimes you just don't have the patience, and it happens that you just give sarcastic answers. Let's say, in India we always go to school riding on an elephant. Be patient. One luxury problem, as it is felt by other people, if you have more than one citizenship and you book a flight, of course you just think about which citizenship do you use for this flight, because when I go to Italy, normally I don't take the flight, but if I go to Italy, I have my Italian ID card with me because I am a citizen of Italy, so why should I bring another one? And the same is for the flight. So you just think about it and you decide, okay, I will book this flight with that passport. And when then it is the time to take this flight, you always have this moment of, with which passport did I book this flight? Which passport do I have to take now? It's a little thing. It's not really a problem. But these are things that happen to expats normally. And I guess the most important thing that happens to all expats or people with different origins in so many situations they will ask, where are you from? And if you listen to the interview with Anna Seidel, who is a mobility trainer, she also said that about herself and about her children. And also this must not be a problem. Of course, if they ask you, trust your intuition, and you know if they are asking you with this discriminatory undertone, just like, you are not part of us, you are an outsider, or if they are interested. But also for the interest, there are different levels, and expats on that question, can't give just a quick answer, or normally, because if they start to explain, I was born here, but my parents are from there, and now we live here, but my brothers and my sister, and so it can be a long story. And at the beginning, you might not feel how deep the interest of this person is. So if you want to help your children with that question, just help them to develop a short answer, and which is correct, but does not tell every detail, and tell them to feel what the situation is, or to ask the person who asked, do you want to know how far do you want to go in? How deep do you want to know? Or as I mentioned in one of the other videos, how much time do you have? And then they can go into the details. But normally people ask the question just to have a quick answer, just to know in which drawer to put you. Oh, so you're from Italy, full stop, fine. But if you say you're from Italy, but now you live here since 2 years, and they where from Italy? Then you feel the interest, and then you can, open up a bit and give more details. So this is communication, feeling how the other person is interested really, and do they really want to know out of positive interest where you are coming from, or is it just for a quick evaluation, let's say, or small talk? So this was it for today. I hope you liked all these pros and cons, and I hope I made you smile sometime. And if you did like the video, please give me a like. If possible, please subscribe to my channel. It helps me a lot and it doesn't cost you anything. And in any case, be kind.